Gone now, but those of you who know the history of American popular song would know him as one of the great songwriters based in New York. And Harvey Phillips, who started Tuba Christmas, amazingly knew this famous songwriter and got him to do a whole book of tuba arrangements. That's how persuasive he was. And then after that, we're going to do a traditional tuba Hanukkah tune, Dreidel Dreidel. And I have to mention, we're doing this one in honor of Elaine Hoffman Waltz. It's a brass instrument. And what that means is that you make the sound by what we call buzzing your lips into a mouthpiece. Something like this. I look forward to that every year. And the mouthpiece goes into some tubing. In the case of various members of the tuba family, it's a lot of tubing. and then there's a flared part at the end called a bell. Now, one of the features all tuba family instruments have in common is that they're what we call conical. That means if you stretch them out, they would be like a very, very long cone, as opposed to a trumpet or a trombone, which is a cylinder until right at the end where it flares. The conical instruments have a more mellow, euphonious, and generally better sound. And we have a variety of instruments. I want to give everybody a little break and have you meet what they are. Now, the higher pitched member of the family, which roughly corresponds to the range of a trombone, are the baritones and euphoniums and related instruments. So there's not a clear definition about which is a baritone and which is a euphonium. Generally, euphoniums, the pipe is a little bigger, the bell usually points up, sometimes baritones push forward. So just the regular, not the double bells, but just the regular euphoniums, anybody who feels that they are a euphonium, stand up. Among these instruments, we have a variety. We have an oval euphonium here, the silver one is very, very pretty, a European design. We have one with the bell pointing forward. Some of the smaller instruments might also be identified as baritones. Anybody who particularly identifies themselves as a baritone player, why don't you sit down and we have like for example, this instrument over here is probably a baritone. In English brass bands, it's one of the standard sizes of instruments. We also have some front bell baritone-sized instruments used particularly for marching and things like that. Could you guys stand up? There you go. Now, another instrument for those of you who know your Broadway musicals really well, and you know the Music Man in the song 76 Trombones, one of the instruments which is mentioned is the double-belled euphonium. It's tucked away into the text of that song. It was very popular when Meredith Willson the composer of Music Man, played piccolo for John Philip Sousa. There's a piece of trivia. Would the double-belled euphonium stand up, please? They don't play at the same time. The big bell sounds like euphonium, and the small bell is a kind of a smaller, tighter sound, maybe like a valve trombone. So it was the intent of building one instrument that had two different sounds. They're really neat. Now, among the tubas generally are bigger. Your standard orchestra tuba points up into the air. Could the upright, just the straight up upright tubas please stand up? Thank you all. One of those ancestors of the tubas, we have a really rare instrument that usually you find lurking in a museum. This is a sax horn, not a saxophone, but a sax horn designed by Adolf Sax, built around 1860. Could the sax horn stand up, please? Now for use, obviously it's hard marching with a tuba, kind of no matter what you're doing. So they came in various shapes that you could wear or support with your body. The most well-known is the sousaphone. Could we have a sousaphone, please? An earlier ancestor of the sousaphone, way back there, is a helicon. There's another antique instrument. One convertible tuba back there somewhere? The one you wear on your shoulder? Do we have one? You hold it up. There we go. And finally, the one other tuba that we have is something called a recording bass. And it has the front bell like a sousaphone, but other than that, it's like a tuba. It was designed originally in the early days of recording, where they needed an instrument to send the sound more directly into recording horns and microphones. And Jimmy, could you stand up? Oh. Have I missed anyone in the tuba zoo? Okay, very good. So,